Hello, it's Maggie the Cheshire Crafter here. Now, as you can tell, I'm back home after visiting the Festival of Quilts. And thanks to everybody who watched the videos, I uploaded 3 of them and I've had some very positive feedback, lots of views and quite a few comments, and I appreciate them all. Now, somebody did ask about one of the charities that was involved there, and it triggered me to think that I might delve a little bit deeper into the charities that were represented there and give you some more detail about that, perhaps to encourage you to get involved. Those charities include Project Linus, particularly the UK one, Quilts for Care Leavers, and Maggie's, which is the cancer charity. Right, it started in the US in 1995 and in the UK from March 2000. Now, it isn't actually a registered charity, it's a registered company, non-profit organisation, and it's run by volunteers. The concept is that they'll make quilts for children from the age of babies upwards to teenagers. The request is that anything is quilted, but they'll also take knitted blankets. Now, they do have specific sizes and specific needs, and that includes that the quilts should be made of cotton or polycotton and no raw edges, so that they can be washed and tumble dried and remain secure. Now, they ask that there's no embellishments on these. That's no lace, no ribbons. I make sure I don't put broidery on glaie, which I love to use in quilts, but little fingers can get stuck inside those, and that's far from ideal. So nothing that can cause any harm. No, that includes no zips, no buttons, and no beads, because of the choking hazard. Now, my friend did ask me, well, what about cot death? The baby, you don't want to suffocate a baby with a quilt. Well, no. I did used to work in a neonatal unit and we used quilts all the time. First of all, they can be used to provide comfort or shade. They tend to have very harsh lighting and that's not ideal. You're trying to promote a circadian rhythm in babies so that they know the difference between it's time to nap and it's time to wake up. They can be folded beneath a baby in order to promote shape. And especially the premature babies that have no muscle control, you're trying to promote a shape and prevent distortion of the body growing flat. We used to have babies that were just laid on their side all the time, and you'd end up with a baby who had a flat face one side, a misshapen face. They're very comforting to the babies and they're very comforting to the parents too, because it tends to add something that's been handmade, something that's soft, something that adds personality, and that gives comfort to the parents, and it's for the babies to keep. Even ventilated babies are cuddled. This is kangaroo care, skin to skin, and something soft like a little baby quilt over the top is very comforting to the baby and to the parents. And babies always like a cuddle after being fed, whether they're breastfed or bottle fed by the parents or from the nurses or nursery nurses caring for them. When children are nursed on paediatric wards, particularly ITUs, they're used as a comfort over them, so the parents aren't constantly just looking at their child in bed, looking at hospital laundry, especially if a child is ventilated or needing oxygen therapy. They're not going to suffocate with it, and they are attended to at all times, don't forget. Don't think that that suffocation issue hasn't been considered by these charities when they're donating it. They're donating them to people that know what to do with them, so don't let that put you off. And like most charities, they ask that there are no allergens. So if you have pets or you're a smoker or have a smoker in the house, that the quilts are washed before they're donated. Once the quilts are finished, you contact a local coordinator, and you can find that on their website. I'll put the details below. So they'll accept unfinished projects, scraps that people will then make up into quilts to donate back to them, accept fleece, wadding and threads. So if somebody's no longer able to quilt, if somebody's died, so if the estate has acquired these fabrics and you don't know what to do with them, contact Project Linus because they'll accept them. Now, they will donate to anybody in need of a hug. So that's hospitals, hospices, children's homes. I've got special schools, bereavement services, women's refuges, foster carers. There's lots of places that these quilts will go to. They do have a Facebook page in addition to their website, and you can also make donations to them via PayPal. I do have some fabrics that are more suitable for older children. I say children, they're young adults, aren't they? Well, that is Quilts for Care Leavers. Now, this, along with Maggie's that I'm going to talk about, is actually a registered charity in the UK. Is if you make a donation, if you are a UK taxpayer, then they can claim gift aid back, and that is worth an extra 12.5%. Quilts for Care Leavers looks at an age group where children have left colleges, schools, or the care system, and they're going out to live independently in the community, and they need to be given things. They haven't got much. The charity was started by another Maggie. Her name is Maggie Lloyd-Jones, and she linked up with another charity of a man, I've forgotten his name now, but he started Gold from the Stone Foundation. He left care at the age of 13 with nothing. And he organises Christmas dinners for care leavers that are nominated usually by local authorities and charities. And at that Christmas dinner, the young adults are shown all the quilts that have been donated in that local area over the year, and they're able to select the quilt that they want. So it's their choice. These quilts are requested to be made as rectangles, and the intention there is they can be given a hug. They can be enveloped in the quilt without tripping over and causing problems. They request that it's 20 inches longer than it is wide. The fabrics can be anything, cottons and a mix, but they do ask for no upholstery fabric and no fabrics that need a licence for them, like Disney prints. And they must have an enclosed seam. Quilting can be simple, up to 4 inches apart, but again, it needs to be secure so that they can be washed. Now, for the designs, they ask that there are no triggering designs, so they don't want hearts and they don't want houses. Once you've finished your quilt, or you're close to finishing your quilt, you contact the local coordinators who supply you with a label and a number. The label might read, "Remember, you are loved." I like that idea, don't you? And there's a gift tag so they know who's made it for them. Again, they'll accept donations of spare fabric, wadding, threads and unfinished projects. And for an unfinished quilt topper to be long arm quilted, if you pay a donation of £10, it will then be quilted by a volunteer and returned for you to hand finish. There's a Facebook group and a website. They also talk about hot water bottle covers and something called a Moore's bag, so you can make other patchwork items that they'll accept too. Maggie's was a concept thought up by a Scottish lady, Maggie, Keswick Jenks. She had breast cancer and subsequently died from it after a recurrence. And she thought of the concept that actually there was very little support for patients, their families and their loved ones whilst they were going through treatment. The concept was taken up by her husband, don't know his name, sorry, but in 1996 they established a Maggie Centre in Glasgow. The head office is now Edinburgh, and they've become an international service with centres across the UK and Hong Kong, Tokyo and Barcelona. Rather than being within an NHS centre that's providing cancer therapies, they're building centres alongside, so it's a completely separate unit. There's no need for a referral and anybody can walk in through the doors. Now, on their website, you can look at where the local centres are, and I did that for me here. The local centres for me would be Clatterbridge Hospital, which is on the Wirral, and Glenclwyd, which is St Asaph, which has now become a city in North Wales. All services are free and there's no referral needed, and that's really important for somebody who just is desperately in need of some support and comfort and emotional support at a time of need. The Charities president is Her Majesty the Queen, that's Camilla, and the CEO has been made a dame. She is Laura Lee. In offering emotional support, some of the centres have realised the need for men to unite with other men, and they've used quilting as a practical mindfulness term. Of course, having something to do with your fingers just gets men talking, and some of, in particular where you have men's cancers, prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, bladder cancer, they're particularly sensitive issues and they need a safe space to talk with other men. So two men got together, Gavin and Peter Cox, and decided to start the quilt making. The quilts that were on show at Maggie's at the Festival of Quilts were all made by men, and they were fabulous too. Now, there is an email for contact for them. I don't know whether they'll accept quilts made, but I can bet you bottom dollar that they'll accept any fabric, threads or wadding that was on offer. For more details then, look at the website and the email address. And I personally feel if I had a loved one receiving cancer treatment in one of those centres, I'd be very glad of a safe space to go and talk to people that could help me without the clatter and the noise of an NHS hospital. So how else then can you help charities through your hobby? You can contact your local hospital, your local hospice, and ask them what do they need. Would they accept a donation? Don't forget, it's not always just about patients. It's about the comfort of their families. So if you want to donate patchwork pillows, patchwork cushions that are used in a family room, I'm sure they would accept them. If not, they could always sell them. They could auction them. They could help raise funds for their cause just by selling them. And also, don't forget, sometimes the staff working in these units need a little bit of comfort too. The likes of the Ronald McDonald House, besides the Alder Hay Hospital, hold an exhibition. Put something on eBay, hold a workshop. You can donate fabric, threads, patterns, wools, knitting needles, crochet, anything you like. The charity shops will be glad of them. You can monetize your YouTube channel and donate money to charities. There's one quilter that does that. You can make items and sell them on eBay and put the profit from the sale to a named charity, as long as it's listed. My local hospice is listed, Macmillan, the Children's Hospice Charity, and as a community, I think we're very caring. We know how much pleasure a quilt can bring. This is Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter. I'm now being guilted into finishing those Project Linus quilts, so I'll be uploading that video soon. Meanwhile, come back and join me again soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.